95% of Chinese people approve of their government?
Hello, my name is Charlie Lin. I'm from China. I'm in Shenzhen. So today, let's talk about another video posted by Serpentza Winston Sturzel. In case you don't know about him, Winston used to be in Shenzhen for many years, and he was very famous for making a lot of videos about China. But later, he moved to, I think, America. And right now, he's still making a lot of videos about China. So I know a lot of people may say, oh, Serpentza likes China, he still likes China, and some people may say he actually hates China. But regardless, we know that he needs China. He even needs the CCP. I know he may dislike the CCP, but he needs the CCP. At least he needs the topic of CCP. He makes a lot of videos about the CCP. Okay, without any further ado, let's take a look at this video.
95% of Chinese people approve of their government? Of course, this statistic is bollocks. In fact, most official statistics coming out of China are false.
Winston Sturzel just mentioned that most of the official data, or maybe all the official data from the Chinese government, is false. I cannot make quick judgment if that is really true. But I would say there are a lot of information in this world that can be false. Let's say if an American government releases some information, can we say that they're 100% authentic? I'm not so sure. My attitude is I would take all the information only for reference, because I have my own common sense. I know a lot of facts by myself. I can ask people around me. I travel around the places. I see what I see, and I tell what I think, right? So I don't always need to rely on these statistics to form some judgment, If we think that a lot of the official data from the government is propaganda, we can choose not to believe it. So all information can be misleading and even wrong, Like even for individuals, we like to post a lot of images, photos, videos online about ourselves. Every time we go to a place, then we like to post on social media, hey, we had a great fun over here. We would not like to post everything about our life. The majority of people would like to perceived as going on very well, So that is a fact. We cannot control what kind of information to be provided by anyone. So I think it's the same case with the government. The government can release a lot of information. We can choose not to believe those. Let's say, for example, the Chinese government says, oh, we have GDP records are really, really nice, Do we have to believe that? No, but we can judge for ourselves. We can go out there and see how people are doing, Are there many people going hungry on the street? Are there a lot of homeless people?
And it's been proven again and again by the Chinese government themselves. You see, they release false GDP numbers.
Anyway, I think I kind of agree with Serpentza because I don't think the Chinese society is overall a rich society. It is only a moderately or even less than moderately well-off society. The majority of the people are still having a very low income. Even the premier of China, Li Keqiang, also mentioned that there are 600 million people living on a wage of only 1,000 RMB. That's around only 150 US dollars. That's made on public. You can see that on Xinhua News Agency. Okay, that is not any secret. The only thing that we have so large GDP is because we have so huge a population. And a lot of the people make a lot of savings. They don't spend too much money. Although right now we are encouraged to spend more money than before because we're having this trade war with the United States, and we're also having this COVID worldwide. A lot of the countries, they cannot get materials from China easily. So the Chinese government, they want to encourage the people to spend more money so we can have this kind of called domestic circulation instead of totally relying on this external circulation. In America, the government is trying to make the society more self-reliant. They have this trade war with China. So the Chinese society is also the same, because we found out we cannot totally build our economy based on exports. I think the GDP numbers should be good, should be very high, but that doesn't mean it's great, because we have so large population. And if you divide that by 1.4 billion people, it's really just a little bit of GDP, okay? And that is very much well recognized in China, I would prefer the people outside China to find out that China is still largely not so much well-off society. It is truth, and the Chinese government never denies it. Why do you have to always mention the Chinese society think they're the best, the richest people? They never do so, okay? The Chinese government also never say they're the richest, okay? They still think they're just number 2, number 3, number 4. They don't think they're much well off. They keep telling the world, hey, we're still a developing country. We're still kind of poor, okay? We need to collaborate with the rest of the world to grow our economy. And we want to help many other countries to grow their economy as well. We are living in this small global village. Everyone, we are relying on each other. Nobody can live and grow in a vacuum, So the mindset of waging a trade war against each other is really old. It should belong to the past.
But we all know the COVID numbers that they put out as well are falsified because it's just impossible.
Serpentza just mentioned that the Chinese government has been underreporting their COVID cases. I don't think so. I think maybe in the beginning, due to a lot of reasons, they were not able to calculate how many cases they were, because they were just at the outbreak. It took a lot of time to calculate how many cases they were, because there were not a lot of COVID test tools to do this kind of mass testing. But right now we have a lot of testing. It is a very mature system already. We can do the mass testing within like 1 week, 2 weeks. It's very easy to do in a city, especially in big cities like Shenzhen, Guangzhou, and just a few weeks ago we did this kind of mass testing citywide, easily within just 1 week, 2 weeks, and we almost found no cases at all. So Serpentza, you said the numbers were definitely falsified, and I believe there are a lot of people outside China. They're thinking that the number of cases in China are not true. However, I want to quote from a famous epidemiologist in China. His name is Zhang Wenhong, and he said this one famous sentence, I think. He says, even if a lot of governments want to hide their figures, but pandemic cannot be hidden. No, it can just spread out all over the world. This is the pandemic. Do you really think the figures can be hidden? It cannot be hidden. We can see people dying. We see the hospitals cramped. How can we hide these numbers? But right now, we don't need to hide anything, because everything is up in the open. Everything is so clear. Right now, we can travel so easily, and even now, the Chinese government is still taking it so seriously to do the quarantine. Every time we travel, we need to, especially in the public transportations, we need to carry our health code. It is like a QR code that can show where we've been to. I don't mean where we've been exactly, but only which cities we've been to over the last 2 weeks or so.
I just wanted to put it out there for those of you who have maybe fallen for this, oh wait, they've got such a high approval rating. It's nonsense.
You know what? Actually, I do believe the majority of the Chinese support their government. Even myself, I think I support the government. At least I'm not against it. Or maybe it is a better way to put it, the majority of the Chinese are neutral toward their government, because at least they're not against it. They may not love the government that much, but at least they don't hate their government that much. Let's not totally rely on these figures, okay? We can tell that for ourselves. Every time we go to the social media, every time there's a state news like about the government, like Mr. Xi Jinping went to somewhere to do something, okay? I wouldn't do that, but there are a lot of people posting comments like, hey, great respect to Mr. Xi Jinping, or thank you for your hard work, Mr. Xi, okay? So even myself, I couldn't believe it, how much the people support their government. I cannot believe it. And However, I think it is also very easy to tell the reason, because the majority of the people, although they are not living in a rich life, but at least they are living in an okay life. They have food to eat, they have clothes to wear, and also our college education is very cheap. I got my college education at a very cheap rate. I think it's 600 or 700 US dollars per half year, per year. That is very, very cheap, okay? And I come from a very humble beginning. So if I want to get a higher education in America, come on, I couldn't do that, okay? So I'll tell you the reason why the majority of the Chinese people may support their government than against it. That's the reason. Because the people form their opinions based on their actual experiences, okay? You really think that they're so brainwashed to love their government? No. The Chinese people, they're not that stupid, okay? They're having this second largest economy right now in the world. Do you really think that how stupid they can be, okay? They're not idiots. And also, the products are so cheap here in China because we're the largest producer of products in the world, and we're also the largest consumer in the world. That's why I believe the Chinese economy has a bright future ahead. We have everything made in China, but for you in America or anywhere else, you need to import from China. And these products, they will add up a lot of costs in shipping and import duty, and also the seller's margin, and it will become very, very expensive for you. But in China, everything is so cheap.
So where does this number of 95.5% come from? But it actually comes from an independent Harvard study and survey.
Okay, so this survey is carried out by Harvard, right? How does that correlate with the Chinese government? Okay, is Harvard organizing that survey not independently?
Let's find out how the Chinese government conducts its surveys. Turns out that they do a lot of telephone surveys, like official telephone surveys.
But I definitely doubt this kind of survey is carried out based on telephone calls. Especially if you're saying it's the government that carries out this kind of survey. I don't believe so, because I've never received such calls in my life, okay? I've never received a call asking me, hey, do you support the Chinese government? I consider such calls weird calls. And anyway, I've never received such calls. But I did receive weird calls before. I even received a call one day, I think many years ago. I don't receive such calls anymore. It's a call based on, hey, there are a lot of evils done by the CCP, some calls like that. So I immediately hang up because it is very weird, okay? And also, I received calls like people carrying out some surveys, and it has a girl asking me, hey, what do you think of the traffic condition in our city? That is very weird, And I went up online, I searched, hey, what's this kind of survey about? And they're saying it's scams, okay? Don't take up the phone and just hang up immediately, So when I receive such weird calls, I always hang up immediately.
So it's kind of like buying a SIM card for your phone, but you have to give them your social security number, your educational history, your driver's license, your address, your spousal information, your family information, your bank account information, absolutely everything.
Okay, I would say every time we go to register a number, we don't need to provide so many details. The only thing that we need to provide is ID number and also our photo. When we go to those telecommunications companies, they will take photos of us because they need that for verification purposes. Okay. But I don't think we're going to have to provide our social security numbers and so much information. But if you want to ask me, what does this ID number do? Yeah, it is used a lot because it is the only thing to identify ourselves. If we don't have this ID card, we cannot prove that we are ourselves, okay? It's like if I don't have an ID card, then I cannot prove me, Charlie Ling, I'm Charlie Ling, okay? I would say, maybe in China, it looks like everything is so much well documented by the government. It's like everybody's key information is recorded by the government, by the public service organizations. Let me tell you the difference between the Chinese society and American society. In China, it's a big government culture. In America, it's a small government culture. So in America, the government is not powerful. But in China, the government is very big. It's powerful. We have 1.4 billion people. It is really much a challenging task to manage this many people. You look at India, they also have a lot of people. Look at how much well they manage their own people. It's not so good, okay? So every country has their own unique conditions. We have our different systems. I think it's maybe better to respect each other. You have your way and I have my way. You know, we do not necessarily think our way would also be the best for you. But the biggest mistake a lot of the Western countries make is that, oh, we have this Western style of democracy. You know, it must be universal, so it should adapt to every country. You know, if you're having a country that's not with this Western style of democracy, then we should topple it down. You know, so that is very weird because you're attacking China as a fascist regime, but I believe a more fascist mindset is to make everyone else the same like you.
When you're getting an official call from the government on your phone, which is tied to your ID card, do you think you're going to tell them that you're dissatisfied with them?
Okay, I don't think the Chinese government carries out that kind of calls. As I said already, this kind of calls are very weird, okay? And also, I think that is least likely to happen because in China, on the contrary, the government is advising people not to take calls like that, okay? If people are approaching you saying they are the government, just hang up immediately, okay? They're scammers. So I really cannot believe that Winston, after living in China for so many years, would dream up this kind of theory. I cannot imagine where he draws this kind of conclusion. Based on what?
There's no Trump versus Biden in China. It's Xi Jinping versus Xi Jinping versus Xi Jinping. And what he says goes. And by the way, you better study his Xi Jinping thought while you're at it.
Oh, actually, the normal individuals are not required to study Xi Jinping thought whatsoever, you know, or any other political thoughts. Only those party members, they need to study that kind of thing, you know. The normal individuals don't have to do that unless they want to become party members someday. Then they need to study that kind of thing. You know, it's not really not like North Korea. It's not even like the same old China in the past. You know, in the past, you know, it was chaotic times, and even the Chinese Communist Party, they admit they made huge mistakes in the past. It's not hidden in the textbooks, in the history, primary school, middle school, high school. There are everything there. You know, the mistakes they made in the past, the Cultural Revolution, the Great Leap Forward movement. You know what? You know, I remember Nathan Rich mentioned that it is okay to love China. But I also want to say it is okay to criticize China. But only if we can criticize China in an objective way, unbiased way. You know, if we form our opinions on China based on some rumors, that is not really wise, okay? That is not really much advisable. And Winston Sturzel, I don't know where he formed this kind of opinions, okay? Maybe you make some guess and you make your guess a reality. Right now you are a YouTube channel with almost 1 million subscribers. Your videos are going to influence a lot of people that want to come to China, want to understand about China. You better be careful with what you speak, okay? If you make some wild guesses, don't tell people it's exactly 100% the truth, okay? At least right now, I don't believe what you're saying about this is truth.
Number 2, apathy. And this is also why you find those situations where someone's in need and nobody steps in to help.
Okay, I believe there are apathetic people everywhere in the world. In America, you also have people apathetic. In China, we also have apathetic people. You cannot say, today we have this news showing that some Chinese people are apathetic, then, okay, the Chinese society as a whole are apathetic. I don't believe so. Right now, we're having this huge flood with the northern China. There's a province called Henan. They need people's help. And you can see that a lot of people donate their money to this province to give people support. You know, people are not apathetic. You know, they're very kind. Every time there's a province that needs immediate help from people, then all the other provinces, they just unite together. They just give out their love and support. And also recently, we're having a company. It's a sports brand. It's called ERKE. You know, they donated like 15 million RMB to this troubled province, Henan. there are a lot of shoppers buying stuff from this brand. You know, their products have been cleared out. You know, like no stock at all. And why do people behave like that? Because they like to support people who like to help those other people. Okay, so we support this kind of brand because they are very warm-hearted towards people. They like to help people, so we help them.
And that's why they'll just be like, yeah, it's fine, whatever, leave me alone. I just want to guorudzi. I just want to do my daily thing and continue on.
Okay, the Chinese language expression, guorudzi, is actually not a negative word, passing the days, okay? It is maybe a neutral word. At least it is not a negative word. Or maybe you can use it in different ways. You know, guorudzi is actually about living a simple life. Instead of becoming very materialistic, hey, we need to get a lot of money, you know, we should be kind of satisfied with our life. You know, we cannot have everything that we want, you know. So that's called guorudzi. Even when it comes to getting a girlfriend or wife, we want to find people in China, people that we can guorudzi with.
And so that's how they get the statistic. It's almost as if you've got a big bully pointing a gun at your head saying, you like me, don't you? And you just say yes, because then he moves on to the next person. You like me, don't you? And if somebody says no, then he gets shot or he gets beat up or whatever. You know, that's about the best analogy I can come up with this.
Okay, that is getting kind of hilarious. Pointing a gun to your forehead and asking if you like me, that is really absurd, okay? You know what? It is totally okay to criticize China, okay? But we don't want to criticize it in a stupid way, in a kind of rumorous way, okay? You know, we form our criticism based on facts. You know, we don't just make guesses into facts, okay? And we don't tell people our guesses and tell them our guesses are the truth, okay? That is very irresponsible. We can criticize everything, but if your comments are stupid, then you are stupid, okay? That doesn't change the fact that you're stupid. Just because you're criticizing China does not make everything that you say is true, okay? It's like when someone is praising the Chinese government, we should find out if what he says is true, you know? It's the same thing, okay? If someone criticizes China, we also need to find out if he's just lying or just bullshitting. You know, even if you want to topple the government, if you want to convince the Chinese people to topple their government, do that in a respectable way, you know. You know, don't just do that in dirty ways, just to make up some lies to trick people into doing something that you want. That is what CIA does. You know, that's not supposed to do something dumb by a YouTuber like you.
All you ever see in the media, and that's the newspaper, on TV, through any kind of official website or through all the social media apps, all you ever hear about, all you ever see with regards to the central Beijing government is how great it is. We're sending rockets into space. We're lifting people out of poverty. We're building all this infrastructure. Look at our amazing army, our amazing navy. Look how incredible we are. What a strong country we are. How great we are. How much we're progressing.
Okay, I wouldn't say the news about the Chinese sending rockets to space or sending rovers to Mars is propaganda. That's just the news, okay? But it is very normal for people in China to achieve something great because we have so much large population, okay? You know, we have 1.4 billion people. We're having many provinces. It's like having many countries, you know. And the unique advantage that we're having is that we are very much united together. It's unlike Europe. You know, Europe, there are many countries, but they're kind of independent from each other. But in China, we're having a very big government. There are still a lot of diversities in many different provinces, but we belong to this one body, okay? It's called China. You know, we like to collaborate with each other. We like to achieve great things together. Let me tell you what I think the majority of the people in China think of their government, you know. When I ask some people around me, I said, hey, what do you think of the CCP? They're actually not expressing dissatisfaction with the government. They are just telling me how the government handles the people, okay? How the party handles the country. They just tell me the facts. They don't really much form their opinions if they think it's great, if they think it's bad. You know, they just talk about the facts and they talk about okay, the government actually, at least, is very suitable to managing this country that we're having,
I hope that explains to you why there's this 95% approval rating. It's not true. It's absolutely not true. No country in the world is going to have a huge, support for the government. 95%. Are you joking?
Okay, so Winston just said something like, in all the other countries, people don't support their government so much. So in China, it should be the same thing. If there is any sign that the Chinese people support their government, it must be a lie. That is really much absurd. Okay, it's like on the one side, you complain about the Chinese government telling the people how they should feel, and right now you are doing exactly the same thing. You're telling the Chinese people, hey, you should feel bad about your government. You should feel bad about your country. Shame on you. Okay, you're hating something, but you're exactly doing the same thing. Okay, at the end of the video, I still would like to emphasize it's totally okay to criticize China, but we don't want to do that in a stupid way, in a rumorous way. We want to do that in a scientific way. And also we want to do that in a constructive way. We want our comments about China to make China better. Instead of just thinking about, hey, we need to topple this government, then we will have everything perfect. We will have beautiful days like forever. That's not so true. If we don't have the CCP, this new government will also have to deal with this mess. Okay, so every country has this mess to deal with. Okay, it's the same thing. The Democratic Party, the Republican Party in America, you also have to deal with the same shit. Okay, and I believe that's also the part of the reason why Chinese people think that the CCP deserves so much credit to the country's development is because we only have this one party. They learned a lot of lessons. They made a lot of mistakes. They can correct themselves, okay? But in America, you have two parties. Whatever progress that you made, then after your term is finished, then the other party will try to demolish everything that you've built in the past. Then they have to build something new. But in China, it's just different. They build something. It's just like Bitcoin. It's like growing from the very beginning, and it goes all up to very, 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 very high. Okay, but in America, it's like a lot of fluctuations. Every time there is some growth, there is another party that had to put it down. It's like this. That's like this. That's the reason why China is growing so fast. I believe so. I really think that it's really okay to criticize China. Okay, it's okay to love China. It's also okay to criticize China, but we want our comments to do great service to making China a better place and also the world a better place. We don't want a lot of misunderstandings between Chinese people and the rest of the world, and also vice versa. Okay, maybe that's pretty much it for today. Thank you very much for watching. I look forward to your comments, likes. If you have anything that you want to ask about China, you can post your comments below. I hope you will enjoy your day. Thank you. Thank you very much.